Good morning. How are you today? I'm in the middle of moving, so I sequestered myself in this little tiny corner in the backyard of my daughter's house where she has Wi Fi, so I could talk to you because I haven't figured out how to do Wi Fi up in base camp up near Glacier yet. So for today, this is where I'm going to be. You get to see me over the next few weeks, trying all sorts of new things in new places, right? Where I can talk to you. So today I want to talk about solar flares, the Tower card, which is in both decks, these ones. And if you know anything about tarot and Tower, you're like, oh God, here we go. And you, what are you going to do? What's going on? Okay, so true to nature, I've outlined some things. I don't have my usual setup, so you get to see me look at my notes and do some stuff. But I think this is an important conversation to have because what I'm doing is I'm putting together the solar flares and geomagnetic storms and the tower card in what's happening with us inside outside of our bodies and what we can sort of start to anticipate over the next I don't know, weeks, years, months, I don't know, because this is all so new, right? So we've been having flares all week long and not just a couple. And I'll go through this. We've had days where there are 10 solar flares, huge ones, going on throughout the day, right? And what's happening is it's bringing up physical symptoms in us. It's bringing up a lot of anger, anxiety, and nervousness. Now, go back and look at the other solar flare videos that I've done because there's no need to be repetitive on this. But what I want to start with is the Tower card. Now, within tarot, I'm a tarot reader. I've been reading tarot since 2010. It just sort of, I've tried and tried and tried, and then it just took off. And I've got a little cat running around, so you hear her bell every once in a while. The Tower, number 16, which is the second octave above the Chariot card, right? So Chariot card is action movement. It's where you're honing all of your information and you're going, I'm ready to go. I don't know where to go yet. When we take the tarot and we lay it out 1 through 9, and then we bring 10 and we put it up on the second octave, the Tower card is the one right above the Chariot, which is you have to shed some things in order to move forward. So take a look at this really closely. Here is a human in a meditation having a Kundalini experience. And then, here are these bodies that are sort of like, these are the things that I have to release and let go. In this one, it's like the tower is shaking and those that are up inside the tower, you can even see the power of these the solar coming down and shaking and rattling this. And I've often wondered if this hasn't been sort of prophecy. Like I like to watch the way that tarot was designed to talk about things that are going to happen in our lives. And I'm noticing that the tower card is so big and so intense, and we don't often think about, like, yeah, something rattled me, but what happens when the sun starts to really come in and rattle us? So I went through, and I didn't bring it out here. I went through Pam Eakin's book on the tower, and the tower is when you've outgrown old structures mentally and physically. It's when you need to make room for new things and loosen the density around you. It's when basically, whether you're in meditation, right? I'm just going to keep holding these here. Whether you're in meditation or you have some sort of download or information, it's when sudden glimpses of truth and insights come into you and you're like, wow, I never saw it that way. And so yeah, we can go theoretically, or we can go like, I have these moments where things just get really clear really fast. When this energy comes up at us in the tower card or down through us, right? It cleans, it clears, it purifies. And the term that comes up constantly in the way that we understand the tower in the tarot, is that it raises our consciousness suddenly. It's almost like you were saying, hey, snap out of it, wake up, right? And then you're like, oh, man, I forgot that I'd been sort of driving and wasn't paying attention. And now you have my full attention. So what's happening with the tower is it's a breakdown of matter and form. It's when we've been dense, and I kinda like those, the imagery of those mud baths, or clay on your face, or when you sort of put a cast on to immobilize a body part so that it doesn't so that the bone can heal. And then what happens when that crumbles off, when we have to literally physically remove that structure that was around us. And so the way that Pamela described it is it's falling into the unknown future, right? So tower is going to affect us in four different ways. Number one, it can affect our physical body. It can actually, bring about something in our physical form. It can affect our personality, where we're looking at um, other cards where parts of our soul, parts of our heart sort of open up. Parts of us have to step into trust, right? Parts of us, I love the priestess card. Here's the priestess in both of the decks, become very much attuned to something new. So it affects our personality. That's the number two. Number three, it affects the structures that we built around ourselves as individuals. Jobs, financial security, relationships, family close by, like every sort of that repetitive structure that's been around us. And number four, which is the biggest one, is the structures or institutions that we created as a society. So those are the things that are coming under this rattle and shake, right? So the purpose of the solar flares, and I'm going to keep going back to this one because here are these flares coming down and rattling the physical form, right? So it's magnetic energy that's built up on the sun and it's released, and we're seeing something phenomenal, something we haven't seen before, which is an incredible amount of pulsing coming out of the sun that's shaking our physical cellular body awake. So these new frequencies are jolting us. They're awakening our physical earth. We're seeing some shifts in water, some shifts in mountains, volcanic activity, wind, storms, weather, heat, water, all of that, right? And it's also awakening our soul. This frequency is hitting us on a vibrational level that is just bringing fire up in so many different ways, right? So it's focusing on our cells and our cellular structure, our systems. It's focusing on our DNA codes, which is feeding our and changing our cells. It's clearing out our cellular memory. So these flares seem to be random, seem to be out there, and they are affecting our human biological system. They're affecting our central nervous system, our brain activity, our psychology, our emotions, our behavior, right? And they are bringing up our human consciousness, forcing tower moments in our life when we don't want them. None of us really want to have the world shook underneath our feet, right? And change forced on us. However, now it's kind of like whether you want it to or not, it's going to happen. So we're morphing out of these old systems and we're physically building bodies and our world into new forms with each other, around each other. So, to give you a perspective, today's the 21st of May. Yesterday, there were 10 high C to low M class solar flares, right between midnight and 7:30 yesterday. On the 19th, there was a geomagnetic storm that created some of the most beautiful northern lights auroras yet again. And you can go and look at some of the pictures that were taken specifically on May 19th. And when those are out, that means that the electric energy around this earth is phenomenal. And then on the 18th, 2 days, so now we're looking at 3 days ago, there were 10 M class flares starting midnight and going to, I think it was 8:55 Pacific Standard Time. So these M class flares are huge. So we're not talking about just a little bump in the glitch. This is like a repetitive bump, 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 and it keeps coming in and hitting us over and over again. making it impossible for us to actually pull back in and try to restore normal. It's almost like there's no such thing as normal anymore. So it's unusual, it's new, it's freaky, it can be scary, it's interesting, it's fun. What is it for you? I've been part gypsy most of my life. I move around a lot. I love to look at environments, and part of my empathic skills is that I can read people and environments and trends and go like something's going on out there, the force, something's to hit the field, right? And so when I'm noticing this, to me, I think this is a fascinating time because what I'm seeing is a lot of changes that I didn't know were possible on this earth. And I also understand that for someone who isn't as doesn't have such a roaming spirit as I do, it can be really daunting. Yeah. So I have 5 tips for you, okay? Um, First, this is global. This is galactic. This is when the planets are bringing the sun's bringing in something that is affecting our Earth, and we have absolutely no ability to be able to control it, right? So I think that the first tip I would say is that it's really important to get out of the victim energy, which is poor me, this keeps happening, poor me, what am I going to do? And find out ways to align and partner with it. So think of snowstorms, think of massive days of rain after rain after rain, windstorms, tornadoes, anything that you can think of that when it happens, we sort of endure and we learn to adjust to them. Start to imagine that this is something like that. It's out of our control, and the victim mentality does not help us at all. So, anything you can do to go, am I in victim or am I in curiosity and leaning forward and working with it? I think that that's really important for us to understand. Number two, that you are physically, emotionally, mentally morphing, whether it's losing weight rapidly, whether it's youthing and becoming much younger in your energy and happy, aging rapidly, having your physical symptoms quadruple and being stuck in pain. It's there's physicality changing around us, and it's affecting our moods and our behaviors. um, so how do you open up and realize, I have no idea who I am, what I'm gonna look like tomorrow, what I'm gonna like, and have a sense of humor, have some curiosity, some surprise, and go, well, and so this is what you got today. This is who I am today, or this just happened, and then that just happened, and notice that every human around us is going through this at the same time. So, old traditional relationships may be rapidly changing. Marriages may just all of a sudden one day go, I don't want to do this anymore. And you both, I've had 3 stories so far of marriages that were consciously uncoupled quickly decision and gone through the process in 2 months. This is really different than the old wars of blame and shame. This is like, "Hey, no, we both need to go different directions, and it's okay." So just know that we're morphing and we're changing, right? Number 3, because we're in such a time of movement and flux, right? Think of, what do you do when you're on a boat and it's rocking? You bend your knees and you move with it and you get used to it. When you're in an amusement park, you sort of prepare because you know that it's going to go up and it's going to go down. The ride's going to take you everywhere, right? So you bend your knees and you stay in observer mode, and you relinquish the fear and shift it into, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. And we adjust and we restabilize, and then we repeat, because this isn't a once and done. This is an hour by hour, day by day process of bending your knees and going, I'm in an incredible moment of change. How do I adapt with it? Okay. Number 4, um, everything in our structured life, think of jobs, um, houses, relationships, roles, every single thing is being shook, right? Shook, shook to its core. This is the Chariot card. in Osho Zen. It's almost like something new's coming out from inside. So we're being shook to the core, right? Shaken. I guess that's a better way to say it. So we're loosening. We have to bend. We have to release. We have to dismantle. Things are going to crumble away. And those are the things that can't move or grow with you. So we're going to see a lot of rapid releasing and dumping, dropping things that no longer suit you. Like for those of you who know me, I've had a coaching practice for 13 years, and every part of my body was like, you need to stop working with people on human suffering, and this isn't in your highest interest anymore. Or right now, I don't know. What's it going to be? So it's just immediately like, okay, I'm going to stop coaching. I'm going to go do what I've always wanted to do, which is be like a campground host or live up in the mountains and living in a little tiny shed in a co-housing environment. And I'm working with people who are coming to Montana to play. And I'm like, I get to play all summer, which is good. The best thing I can do when I'm under stress and duress, which I learned in my marriage. When things are not working, go outside, camp. It makes things better. I'm much more adaptable and I move with it. So, if you have kids, the ones that are like 20 and under or 24 and under, they're going to do really, really well with all of this because this is what they were born here to do. Those of us that are older, the older we are, the more sort of density and heavy and cement we have around us, the more we have to release. So just know that. And number 5 is compassion, because you're morphing. The people around you are morphing. You're going to see crazy behavior, fear. You're going to see a lot of drunk, stoned, you know, self-medicated people. You're gonna see road rage. I have seen people almost at breaking point constantly for the last 2 to 3 weeks now in this little mountain town of Whitefish, and noticing that it's interesting. Going 10 miles, 5 to 10 miles over the speed limit, and having somebody come up and push their bumper 3 feet from my car and try to bully me off the road. And you're like, what is going on? So have compassion that all of us are morphing into something that is really difficult right now. So for right now, I'm going to bring this to a close, and I'm going to come back next week and see if there's anything more I can share with you, or if there's another point that I want to bring up. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Take care of yourself, bend your knees, be flexible, and be compassionate with everything. Thanks.